part of, it's like the paint the picture a little bit more about, again, we were talking about, billions of, of devices and, zeta powers of, of data. But again, is there a way to stay flexible, and while we're, all these things, can't be tethered to a wire, something that small, right. Or kind of connected to the outlets, and again, be reliable. And again, the reliability on that power part, again, can't go down or, and again, right. And the kind of push towards sustainable power, right? Because we just can't dump more, again, oil or this or that, into that. So I'm a big fan, and I know you and I had spoke about it too when it comes to wireless power, and I would just like to give a little time on that. In fact, I understand it's any business should have a 5-year plan about how to add wireless power into some of their needs for their thousands of electrical devices and and IoT. I don't have it all kind of figured out, but it isn't. But wireless energy is again amazing. Again, I have this passion point for it because I could just imagine walking into a room or an office or a doctor's office or something like that, and then have your watch, your phone, your AR glasses, and maybe some other kind of components immediately start charging. Just kind of everything's everything is going. Medically, they talk about how much time nurses and other people, let's just say, waste finding which machine needs to have its battery charged or removed or replaced or kind of something like that. And another more important part that I hope everyone's keeping in mind is that there isn't enough rare earth, specifically lithium, to put into any of this stuff. Yeah. So the two wireless power things that I have seen were one has to do with and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Ossia? No,
Ossia, yep.
It is Ossia. All right. And I've been, in communication with them, again, tracking them as a signal of the future. And so I guess, again, you may know, I'm still learning about this, but if we were talking about wireless communications and 5G and kind of all other things, then there are little packets of energy kind of floating around us kind of, all the time.
Yeah, it's
just the bump up of energy in each one of those to kind of make it happen. Do you know or any?
Yeah, yeah. I think what you're going to see is, OSHA's working with a lot of manufacturers on how to, get them to use their wireless power, right? So imagine sitting like companies, like you're doing, like a lot of factories right now. One of the things they're trying to do is go to older phones, won't work, but your tablets or even your computer, you'll have to, that's the piece that they're going to still figure out. But it's a great idea. It's a great way to move forward, and you're right, because how do I keep all these sensors and all these things powered up? Luckily they use low voltage, batteries and stuff like that. So it lasts a long time because they're not doing a lot.
I'm actually on my screen right now. I don't know if you know or Saban, this woman. It just happened to be a funny face when I did the screen capture, so I love that. But she's on YouTube. I'll eventually put her information, in the when we post this video. She's great, and she's always up on again near future stuff, right. And she's been kind of talking about wireless power for a while too. And I just grabbed this off her video, and it came to how many watts. This is again the Ossia product. How many watts you'll get from being 1 meter away, 2 meters away, 10 meters away.
Yeah.
And apparently your standard, wire is about 4.5 watts, when you're, charging your phone overs and things like that. So 2 to 3, kind of isn't that bad, or 1.
Yeah. They're definitely getting better. OSHA is doing, it's got secured contracts with some vendors and stuff. We're a big fan of theirs. I like where they're heading. I think it will be interesting to see what we hear by the end of the year, what they accomplish this year.
Because with them, it's like you said, it would be, well, there's two things with them. One, right now, you would have to have one of their products, if I understand that correctly, right? It would have to be a hardware enabled Ossia.
They have to build in their technology to pick up the signal and be able to do all that. So that's they're hoping that will be, I think that's their business model.
Yeah, that's one. But the and the fact that, what it does is it kind of like it locates you and only sends it to your direction, so it doesn't waste. It recognizes all the different things, and so it kind of keeps it, in a traffic pattern versus just blasting it everywhere, which was, again, smart. The others that I have seen recently, when they're kind of talking about this, is like a super low voltage battery that people are working on, right? So, put it in, leave it in there for 5-6 years because it's only going to be drawing power small. Again, there has to be, the hardware and the software has to understand the battery. The one thing I really like about wireless power is the fact that once enabled, there's so much additional space inside the machinery that doesn't require like saying like your battery space. So you can add so much more memory, more this, more that, or other future capabilities that, it hasn't been invented yet, when you're kind of taking that battery space away, so it makes it lighter. It makes it like a whole bunch of other things in there. We could always default to the microwave energy that's been around for years and just, you want free power or you want to be burned? You pick one, But there's still room for future, for microwave power, because they were thinking about generating energy, in low orbit and sending a microwave power down to a elevator or a ship or something something like that, and kind of powering it that way. So again, amazing times that we're living in. Just
they're going to be, right now everybody's trying to perfect, obviously, electric cars, solar, wind power, there's pros and cons for all. As long as they keep moving forward. We've seen a lot of advancement over just the last 5 years and just solar, wind, that's been, they're getting, like, a lot of people don't want solar because they think those panels on their roof are ugly, so if you can put them on the backside of your house, that's great. But when it comes to the front, people are like, I don't know if I want it. So now they have tiles, but everybody's concerned that the tiles don't capture as much, sunlight as the panels do. But that technology will only get better and better over time. It's an evolving technology. They're all evolving technologies, and they'll only get better.
There was, maybe I won't cross it now. Another futurist aspect when it comes to power and power transfer, not specifically to IoT, but just in general, is that, again, geeky future people pay attention to stuff like this, but we are very close to having like room temperature connectivity. I forgot which. Well, one reason why a lot of people don't want to, or maybe that solar and all the others don't pan out right away, is because they're not that efficient because of once it's generated, right? So it's now power electric, but it still has to go through our regular wire systems and things like that, which each one of those wires takes a little bit of the resistance out, right, and makes it less powerful, right?
Yep.
We are very close to having, because we could do a lot of this right now where there is no resistance, power transfer, but only when it's like super cold. You may have seen some of those, those kind of components and things like that. I think we're probably less than 5 years away from having room temperature, ease of power. So that would actually make a solar energy and wind power and all that overly efficient if we could move it, exactly at, from there. and we're really not that far away.
No, I think like anything else, it's cost.
Superconductivity. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, it's going to be. There's a cost issue, right? So the solar stuff is not cheap. It's expensive, 30, 40, 50 grand, depending on size of your house, how many panels and everything like that. And it's a big investment. And if you do lease all the information, great. Well, they're going to put a lien on your house. And when you go to sell your house, you better hope you either going to have to pay
Right.
the rest of it, or B, hope your new owners pick up the payments, kind of thing. So it's, that's an interesting, but I think we're heading in the right direction. Again, everybody's thinking, you're right. How do I save, if I can conserve energy, can improve the environment, and do it and save money at the same time. That's what IoT offers. It's just, there's new advancements, there's new technologies that will be coming out over the next 5 years. Plus what we have already will be enhanced, and we'll start to make it more affordable for people to use.
The I guess the final thought I had about IoT and smart cities, and we've kind of covered this in some form because we're talking about sensors already in one place, and and again the effectiveness of making what we have today more efficient, right? So I pay attention to smart cities, and who are there are cities that are, again, trying to, either from scratch or, again, bits and pieces, turn their transportation systems, into something smart, right? So smart highways and smart cars and all of that kind of going together when it comes to monitoring the cities, monitoring the transit systems. I'm a big fan of Waze. I don't know if you are or the others are, but if we were all on Waze, we would save so much gas, and we would save so much carbon, and all that kind of stuff, because we would not go and wait in traffic. It might push us, in other directions, or save us a couple of miles here and there, and all of that. And again, once the cars get smarter, the the artificial intelligence of it gets smarter, and all of that. That again, with the equipment that we have today, we could save the future, so
yeah, it's funny. I had an experience where using Waze was worse than I thought it would be. And it was, and it really, to me, brought out the challenge that these systems have. Now, I was driving home from Monroe, New York to Long Island, and I was trying to get ahead of a snowstorm, right? That was coming. And when the snowstorm hit and traffic slowed down and people were things, I was following Waze. And I think it was right at rush hour here in New York, right? So when you think about the millions or hundreds of thousands of cars that are on the roads going in directions and stuff like that, if everybody's using Waze, can Waze hit a critical mass where now they're sending everybody to the right and then everybody to the left? Because at one point, it took me half an hour to go and I was stuck on a one-way street, and at the end, you either go left or right. And I was stuck on the street for half an hour. And during that half an hour, about 8 times, Waze said, updating, make a left. Updating, make a right. Updating, make a left. I finally got frustrated. I said, I kind of have an idea where I am. I went my own way. And I think that's one of the things with all the AI. If you have a critical mass, I've got to believe they could use it. But if you have people using Waze, you have people using Google, they don't.
Well, there you go. Right. Yeah.
You got other systems out there, their own car system. What's happening is everybody's running into everybody, and it's a mess. So for smart cities, yes, traffic control, policing,
safety, right?
Safety, some of it, depending where you air quality, you can put air monitors out to monitor the air quality in the city, and help that. If you get into buildings, start to try to get more buildings moving to smart buildings, having better access controls, having, heating, cooling systems. So you can monitor. So when the building's not in use, you can save money on energy usage and HVAC stuff. There's a lot, and then tied it all together so that, like in New York, the summertime when it gets really hot and the ACs are all flying left and right, and manhole covers start to explode, and all the Con Ed guys start going out writing checks to people who got hit with a man cover, manhole cover. So I think it's those types of having this technology will try to reduce usage or have it be used at the right time so you're not overloading the system and having this stuff. Yeah, I think cities are only going to get better and more secure. But again, there'll be privacy issues. There'll be connectivity issues, and how do they address that? That's going to be up to cities.
The digital identity again is a whole other conversation, and will have to be somewhat solved. To when we start getting into these again, always on IoT, types of advice. The one thing I noticed, I thought of when I was, in the fifth dimension of the future, if every car has a camera, which they're kind of somewhat expecting, and we're also supposed to lose the side view mirrors in the future. I don't know if you know that. It's part of the AR XR part of my digital wheel of fortune spoke. So in the near future, the side mirrors are going away for it's an air efficiency part that it's always in the way. So there now will be using heads-up displays like they have in the fighter pilot, and all that will be showing our sides from on the either on the. They haven't figured out if it's going to be on the window or if it's going to be on the the windshield or kind of something like that. Kind of going there. So what happens to the motorcycle guys, right? Because they're not supposed to drive in the middle of the lines, right? So if everyone has a camera and it's all somewhat connected, we'll be able to notice, everyone who's doing something illegal. Again, this is kind of going back to the privacy part. Is the motorcycle doing something illegal? Is that kind of cool, or he's going to get busted? He or she will get busted every time they do it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point because you're right. I mean, you won't have doors opening when the guy goes by because you'll see it, right? You'll see the guy, but you're right, and he should have it. They should have it on their system, on their windshield as well.
Right.
So it's a question of you're right. Is that considered breaking the law? I don't know. Good point.
Yeah. The other part when it came to the smart cars and the connected highways and smart cities is the speed limit, right? Because if every let's just say if every car is being connected by an an artificial intelligence, and it's being monitored, and you're just on your way, but you don't have to do 55 if there's nobody on the road, or if everyone is secured and everything like that. So do we still need a speed limit at that point? It's because I can get there faster, if I'm using the smart road and and all that. So that's another issue.
That's more of I think a society, or I don't know if it's a FCC or one of those FTA, whatever, FCC. It's like we have speed limits that go up to 80. In parts of the country, 85 on the highways and stuff like that. But we have cars that can go as fast as 120.
Right. Yeah.
So why?
Yeah.
Why have those cars? That's a good question. Now people want to go fast. They want to be able to go really, really, So I don't know. That's a interesting question.
Yeah, that's
to be addressed.
Again, that's my point. Like society is what I have found also in the fifth dimension is that we all have to start talking about this. We all have to start, I guess, in some form, communicating to our government, officials. Which is scary. Hopefully they kind of keeping things like that.
Yeah.
My last factoid, and then I'll let you go. We didn't talk about drones as well, again, because that's going to be that's an IoT, I guess, and it's going to be tapping into thousands of different sensors. They're Google, and I'm sorry, Amazon and Walmart have already started their testing of their drones. And apparently, what happens is where it's going is it's called the last mile. And apparently, the last mile delivery is an issue that people have. Well, not people, but the logistics companies have now, right? Because they can get these packages and stuff like that all to like different centers. But then, now we're kind of getting into like kind of a gig environment where this person can kind of pick this up and drop it off, right? But all of those things are kind of happening in that last mile. And that's where they're saying where these delivery drones will come in the most, right? Because if I need, trying to think when I need something from the supermarket, like, let's just say a dozen eggs, I'm going to get into my 3,000-pound car that takes, gasoline and carbon for me to go whatever that last a mile and back, right? It's just where a drone can do it for almost no money. Like it's like that efficient when it comes to like electric and all of that. So they're kind of, they're talking about having that last mile delivery kind of going on. So Walmart and Amazon have done testing. I'm sorry, I don't remember which of which, but they're both doing it in some testing middle part of America. And I don't know the town and I don't know which one, but I do remember the company. So what do you think, this is just a little, what do you think the Walmart most requested last drone delivery what's the most popular product?
For Walmart?
The Walmart, right, in a Walmart tested environment.
What was it? Was it like beer?
You would think it would be beer. Beer would be normal, right?
Yeah.
Hamburger helper. Hamburger helper. Again, I don't use the product. I'm pretty sure I've seen it on the shelves, and I'm sure it's good, and whatever like that. But I can't see someone coming home or waking up and go, "Oh, I got nothing on my quick. Get me some hamburger helper," right? So and then running outside and waiting for a drone. So the Amazon one, and again, some small, DMA that's being tested. What do you think the Amazon one?
Was
it's
it
definitely a packaged good? It's going to leave it
milk or something?
All right, you would think milk, right? Coffee. Now I kind of get that part, right?
Right.
I'm waking up or something like that, and I don't have my coffee. I'm already dying, whatever. And I'm like,
right.
Please send coffee, at least.
It's very interesting because logistically, you're right. Some of these, like we see, especially when it comes to the holiday times, it's, this last year was horrible. It'll be interesting to see what this year does.
Yeah.
But they're hiring guys who just show up at their car. Now, what's interesting is they show up, they have their little device, and they throw the package down, and then they tap into the thing that sends a message that your packages are delivered, and they leave.
Right.
So it's really simple. They have no, there's no intervention or connection made between, the delivery guy and the company or the person who's getting the delivery.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, that's a whole nother question, a whole nother discussion, because it's like, you got DoorDash, the same thing. They just drop it off at your door, tell you, they hit on the app, and you get the alert. You come out, and there it is. Meanwhile, the guy's gone, and you never even see him, and you tip him.
Yeah.
So it's really, you don't have to interact with people.
Yeah.
So, and drones, though, it's going to be interesting because the drone's going to fly over, and I think Amazon has a rope. The other one just drops it, and it's a simple box. It can't be what do you call it? Anything that's
Breakable.
Breakable. They don't do any of that stuff. So it's very interesting.
The one last secret that no one knows, and I know it's not a secret, but maybe it just takes a futurist to find it or something like that. But another big part about the drone companies won't be surprising is that data, right? So they're going to be collecting huge amounts of data from point A to point B, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this reminds me, again, we're both, marketing people and, IP and demographics and stuff like that. They're going to be keeping, again, this is not a secret, and they will be selling information about what they see while they're coming into these neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of cars are in the driveway, again, size of home, this and that, all of that. And there's right now, no privacy aspects to being, assigned to that right now. So that might be a whole additional, kind of new market, unless it gets gets closed down for almost real time, geographic information. So
yeah,
kind of
totally agree. It's going to be a whole different world.
Well,
Data privacy, still big issues, that are going to have to get solved. Right now, it's convenience is what everybody's looking for, and servicing. So, yeah. Do I see drone delivery in New York City? No. Do I see drone in Arkansas? Sure. Those remote areas where it's hard to do the last mile. Yeah, you can use a drone. The guy has his truck. He just puts it on the thing and lets it go. And it takes 2 minutes. He drops it, done, comes back.
Right. For a quarter worth of energy. It's
you'll see stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just it just expands their business. At some point it's like, luckily these drones are all electric, so you're not really incurring a lot of costs, and it's just maintenance. And those maintenance are pretty easy. But, are you going to be delivering that last mile in a snowstorm or rainstorm? Well, I don't know.
You always get me on something like that. Yeah, you're right.
That's the challenge. Or it's really, really windy. That's something that these things are light, so that's to be determined. And I know that's a big issue for them right now.
And again, another direction is the 3D printers, and again, a completely untapped, amazing opportunities that are out there. So again, maybe save for another show.
You got it.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for bringing your insight and your real-time experience to all this IoT stuff, and hopefully we get some good feedback from our fan base, all 10 of them, and we'll get a good idea about what if we have to specialize in our next opportunity, if you're open for it.
That'd be great. I am definitely open. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you again, Mark.
All right, Rich.
All right. Be well.
You too. Bye.